Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jake Silver Show. With the United States' involvement in the Middle East and our ongoing conflict with Israel and Iran, let's just talk about the situation here in our homeland. There's still currently no solution for our funding for DHS or ICE. And this whole thing has been entirely politicized to no end by both Republicans and Democrats. But let me just say, the main issue with the Democrats over the past 8 years, let's say, is their refusal to submit on the concept that our borders must be protected. Our borders must have a system that vets the incoming migrants or refugees that come into America. They want an open border, and they want citizens to allow people from all over the world to come into our country with barely any vetting process, barely any background checks. And this is something that has continued to affect our country under the Biden presidency, under the Obama administration. It's something that the Democrats continue to lack to provide any type of stance on when it comes to protecting American citizens. I know people personally that would proudly be open Democrats if the Democrats could just figure out a way to grow a backbone, grow a spine, and have an actual stance on immigration reform. As many people know, Hillary Clinton, Obama, Democrats for years have stood against illegal immigration. They've stood for border control and a closed border. But for some reason, when a Republican is in office or Donald Trump's in office, any measure that is taken to secure our nation's borders is highly criticized and highly attacked politically in order to prevent any administrative measures or any executive orders that do take place to either strengthen our borders or prevent any illegal immigrants from coming into the country. They do any and everything in their power to make Donald Trump look like a fool when it comes to immigration reform. And again, this deeply affects the Democrat Party. The Democratic Party used to be for the working class, and lately, and when I say lately, I mean for at least 10 to 15 years, the Democratic Party has failed to establish any identity with the working class person. The working class male often identifies with the Republican Party because the Democratic Party does not take any stance to support the nuclear family. They don't take any stance to support life. They're often pro-choice. They're pro-abortion. They're pro-open borders, and they are pro-subsidizing the lower class of America to no end. They want to make it so that people of less fortunate circumstances or lower income, whatever it may be, they want to keep people on things like the food stamps. They want to keep them in Section 8 housing. They can secure a vote that way. And this has been detrimental to the Democratic Party for quite some time now. And lately, with this whole ICE raids and the entire Department of Homeland Security has taken a massive hit under the Trump administration publicly because they don't know how to conduct civil and just raids in order to target, identify, extract the individuals who are living in our country or have been living in our country illegally. And this is a huge problem for both Democrats and Republicans. This is clearly a bipartisan issue, but there is no bipartisan resolution to this topic. And our government employees are experiencing the setbacks of this. Donald Trump just signed an executive order that would approve some funding for TSA, but there is still no resolution for the Department of Homeland Security or any ICE agents currently in our country. And this has all been an attack politically from the left in order to prevent Donald Trump from carrying out his anti-illegal immigration agenda. And House Speaker Mike Johnson just today accuses Democrats of taking hostage over crazy immigration agenda. House Speaker Mike Johnson chastised congressional Democrats Friday, saying Republicans will not be part of any effort to reopen America's borders and stop the deportation of criminal illegal immigrants. They've taken hostage the funding processes of government so that they can impose their radical agenda on the American people, he told reporters of Senate Democrats. The shutdown began in February, weeks after federal agents shot and killed 2 people in separate incidents during immigration raids in Minnesota. Democrats have demanded changes to ICE and DHS and have refused to fund the agencies. Now, honestly, whether it was a Democrat or a Republican in office, independent, doesn't matter. Both Democrats and Republicans are responsible for the mishandling of entryway into our American homeland for generations. And now Donald Trump at least is trying to nip this in the bud, or at least get started. And he's basically set up for failure with this. Again, it doesn't matter if it was Trump, Kamala, it doesn't matter Biden, whoever. Regardless of whoever the president was, when trying to tackle the issue of open border policy or closed border policy and extracting illegal immigrants from our country, whether it be people just here illegally or people who are here committing crimes, you are doomed from the start, or you are set up for tremendous failure, at least in the public eye. So there's only a few ways to go about this. You can go about this in a very strategical, logistic, in a very analytical, drawn out, very expensive way of opening a case on any illegal immigrant that you have documented, at least in the country, whether it be jumping on leads that you have or searching for information from ground zero, seemingly. You can do a very thorough investigation on each of these individuals that you deem to be illegal in the country, and then go about securing, whether it be a warrant or whether you can just go and grab them from their job site or wherever it is they may be at the time. Whether it's a church, a hospital, a birthday party, a graduation, it doesn't matter. You are here illegally. But in the eye of the press, this is understandably controversial, and that's why I say they are doomed from the start, regardless of who the president is. There is no real way to go about removing illegal immigrants from the country that will satisfy the entirety of the American public. There is just no way to do it. So Trump's going about it in a way that is very aggressive, that is very brash. It's very brute force. Knock down your door. If we think you're illegal, we may be wrong. So what? None of our agents will be identified to the public, so they basically have immunity here. And the Constitution or your amendments, your rights as an American citizen, obviously won't apply to you if you are thought of to be an illegal. So they're not going to treat you with those in mind. So it's a very difficult thing to address as a commander in chief. It's a lose-lose situation. But I do believe truly in my heart that it is a bipartisan issue to the core of American citizens that there has to be some type of action carried out when it comes to illegal immigrants in our country. There is no way our country can thrive or prosper years down the road from now if we don't address this cancer, this toxicity that runs rampant throughout our lower income neighborhoods, throughout our suburbs, throughout our kids' school systems, throughout our workplace environments, that inherently makes things less safe, whether it be walking in public or working in a private business space. There is no situation where an illegal immigrant, whether they pay taxes or not, it doesn't matter. There is no situation where the longevity of our nation can prosper with people who are here illegally and continue to come here illegally. There is no situation in which we can survive or thrive as American citizens, whether it be benefiting from our tax dollars, whether it be our children growing up in a safe place to raise their children. There's just no way that this can continue, and the Trump administration has long been decided to attack this head on. And I give Donald Trump I give him his props. I give his administration his props for taking action on this. Do I support the way they carry out all these ICE raids? No. Often deemed inhumane, often deemed unconstitutional in terms of his lack of congressional approval with his actions with the ICE department or DHS. And that's why we're in the situation we're in with the funding. And it doesn't help when you have ICE, DHS. It doesn't help when you have these guys gunning people down on the street. That comes from lack of training. That comes with lack of confrontation. It's just something that's going to happen when there's such a widespread operation being conducted by our government agencies. People are gonna die. You know, people are gonna be upset. People from the government are gonna be they're gonna be portrayed in a certain light that people aren't gonna like. That's just what's gonna happen, and it's inevitable that these things will require to be ironed out. And the ironing out of these things has to be addressed by the administration, whether they care or not. That's another topic, but it's up to our president and his cabinet to iron these things out and work something out with Congress. Again, the left has lost its identity in terms of immigration reform. The real Democratic Party wants a closed border. The real Democratic Party wants to support the middle class. But the Democratic Party that you're seeing now, much like the Republican Party, is not the same party that existed years ago. Neither one of these parties are identifiable in terms of comparing them to the past parties that we've had. The Republicans have become warmongers. They've become a anti-democratic, they become a anti-American party that continues to push forward whatever they want, that they need to do to carry out their agendas. And that's just not what an American cabinet does. It's not what the people in office are supposed to do. It's supposed to be voted on. You can't just throw out a ton of executive orders and just carry them out without congressional approval. Unfortunately, the people in the Congress are there. We put them there as American citizens, whether it was willingly or, being ignorant. They're there for a reason. And these parties have to work on securing an identity for both of themselves. There's no way anything's going to get done at this point. You have the midterms coming up in November, and what's the solution there? Think about it. What's the solution for the midterms, right? You get a bunch of Democrats in office and they start carrying out a bunch of leftist policies that are detrimental to our country. No, people voted for Donald Trump because he honestly was our last hope. It wasn't just staunch Republicans that voted for Donald Trump. This is people who love America and thought that, hey, we might have a chance with this guy. And unfortunately, we don't. Donald Trump, whether it's blackmail from the Epstein files, whether he converted to Judaism in 2018, it doesn't matter. Our United States government is compromised, and obviously Donald Trump is compromised as well. The Democratic Party provides no hope. There's no faith in the Democratic Party. And the way the system's set up, there's no ability for an independent to rise politically and provide a substantive campaign to win office, whether it be locally, even for your city mayor, maybe a mayor in a small city, but no large city, no independent mayors winning. There's no election cycle that will deem an independent a worthy candidate. And it's been clear as crystal for our presidential campaigns, for our senators running. There's no chance. There's no chance. You have to be within the establishment guidelines, whether you're Democrat or Republican. So if you have hope, if you're a young person, when I say young person, maybe at least 21. If you're a young person and you have dreams of running as an independent because you're like, oh, I don't identify with Democrats or Republicans. I just love my country. Good luck, okay? Good luck in getting on the ticket when it comes to running as an independent, whether it be for governor, whether it be for vice president, president, whether to be a nominee, just to be in the conversation. There's your chances are slim to none when it comes to not running as a Democrat or a Republican for any office anywhere in the country. This is a two-headed snake that we've been dealing with for a while. Okay? And it's difficult to cut the head off the snake and hope the body dies when there is two heads in two different locations simultaneously. And we've known this. We just haven't taken any action on it. So, back to what we were discussing. The shutdown began in February, weeks after federal agents shot and killed two people in separate incidents during immigration raids in Minnesota. Democrats have demanded changes to ICE and DHS and have refused to fund the agencies. Democrats argued the GOP proposals have not gone far enough at putting guardrails on officers from ICE, Customs and Border Protection, and other federal agencies that are engaged in the immigration sweeps, particularly after the two deaths of Americans protesting the actions in Minneapolis. They want federal agents to wear identification, remove their face mask, and refrain from conducting raids around schools, churches, and other sensitive places. Democrats have also pushed for an end of administrative warrants, insisting that judges sign off before agents search people's homes or private spaces. Something new Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen has said he is open to considering. Now, on the surface, this is a reasonable. Most of these are reasonable requirements. Other than, I don't believe federal agents conducting ICE raids should have to wear identification. That's, at the end of the day, the ICE agents themselves are carrying out orders from their higher-ups. I think their identity should be protected. This isn't a Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? ICE agents shouldn't have to wear a name tag on their vest something that makes them easily identifiable. This isn't your average police officer just patrolling the streets, protecting the community. These ICE agents have been set out basically on a mission to not only protect American citizens, but to conduct a raid, whether that be in someone's home or in a public space. They must be protected because of the way the media has portrayed these individuals. Now, whether or not the way they're going about carrying out these activities is either justifiable or humane, that's subject to criticism from everyone across the country. Like I've said, I don't 100% agree with the way these ICE raids have been carried out. I don't 100% think that all of them have been humane. I don't think that there is a 100% foolproof way to go about removing illegal immigrants from the country. I mean, you could talk to any analyst, you could talk to any politician, you could talk to any strategist, you could talk to a fucking scientist. It doesn't matter. There is no way to remove illegal immigration, or there's no way to remove illegal immigrants from our country without upsetting some group of people in our country. And you're either going to upset the left or you're going to upset the right when it comes to removing illegal immigrants. It's either not enough, you're either not harsh enough, it's either costing taxpayers too much money, or you're being too forceful with it. It's unconstitutional. It's inhumane. These people have families here. They've lived here for so long. It doesn't matter. They're not supposed to be here. That's basically my point. At least something's being done about it. If you think something should be done differently, please comment with how you think an ICE raid should be ran. I know how I'd run an ICE raid. You guys wouldn't be too happy with the way I would run the country because I might be a little bit more logistical with it. I may spend a little more money in terms of investigating these individuals because I wouldn't say illegal immigrants deserve a fair investigation, but I think to remain reputable as an agency, a government agency, I think you should conduct investigations on individuals who you suspect of being an illegal immigrant. Now, how I go about removing you doesn't concern me. I'm not saying we should go down and mow people down or kill anybody suspected of being a little illegal immigrant. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they must be removed and they must be placed either in a country of their native origin. It doesn't matter. They got to get out of here. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here, basically. That's what I'm saying if I'm president. So it's one of the toughest topics. It's one of the toughest situations to address as a politician, as a leader of our government. There is no situation where everyone's just like, oh, great, we're getting illegal immigrants out of our communities. No. Of course the liberals are going to be upset that they're leaving. They're just like, they're people too. That liberals are commonly known to be too friendly. They're friendly to a fault in terms of their policy. They're not friendly in person. They're friendly in terms of their ideas. They just want everybody kumbaya. You meet them in person, you're like, God, that person was a bitch, or he was a dick, because they're a liberal. They're just normally not that friendly. They're normally not that open to conversation. And that could go for people on the right too. I don't identify with either side. I really don't at this point. There's no point. The tribalism is unbearable in this country. You either have to think a certain way, you have to fart a certain way, you got to drink your coffee a certain way, you got to work out a certain amount of times a week, you got to work a certain amount of hours a week in order to identify with certain groups, and then You got to get that group to all support you. It's the moment you say something wrong, they turn against you. And that's the definition of tribalism. We need to stop being so fucking tribal in this country. The tribalism is driving us to an animalistic state. We are losing our human identity without being open to conversation and being open to caring about what it means to be an American and what it means to put America first. Our politicians are obviously putting Israel first in any issue that comes down to foreign policy. So why can't the American people put all the propaganda aside, put all the bullshit aside that comes from corporate media, that comes from all these mainstream media outlets in order to drive us into division perpetually? It's just, let's just silence everything. Just listen to the people who care about this country. Find them and hold them close to you, even if you don't know them. Care about what they say, especially if it resonates within you. So please find an identity. Fuck the tribalism. Stop listening to what everyone else has to say in terms of, oh, this isn't what a Democrat would do. This isn't what a Republican would do. Fuck that. They don't care about you. Like I said, we're being led by pedophiles anyway. So do what's true to you. Do what's true to your country. And try to figure out a way to raise a family and influence the people around you that you care about to have beliefs and have opinions that are in the greater interest of the United States of America. Is that something that really needs to be preached or talked about? It's racist to be American now. It's racist to be America first. It's racist to be of American culture, to support anything that has to do with the identity of Americans. So it's scary times, because when you're sitting there at home as someone who loves America, you're like, damn, I feel so alone in this. But no, you're not. You're not alone in this, because there's still so many people out there that love America. There's so many people out there that want to figure out how to do the right thing. There's so many people out there that want to spread positivity. There's so many people who haven't given up hope yet. I just don't want you to give up hope, and remembering that there are people just like you. And now with the war in Iran, we've been told over the past week or so that this is coming to an end. It's all come to a head. This is not another forever war. This isn't Iraq. This isn't Afghanistan. We aren't looking for weapons of mass destruction, but they might have them. So we've been told by Donald Trump, we've been told by Pete Hegseth a couple of different things. Trump obviously wants it to come off as, they got 10 days to come up with an agreement for the Strait of Hormuz. And we're not going to bomb the electrical plants. Hegseth is like, we're gonna spread peace through force. We're gonna do whatever we got to do to get the job done. Whatever, Pete Hegseth. That guy's unbearable. I don't care if you're on the left or right. Pete Hegseth is just, he's a frat bro who got denied entry into the frat. He's the guy that you didn't invite to your wedding, but he showed up with one of your wife's best friends as her fiance, and you're like, oh my God, this guy is completely unbearable. I get him out of here. Don't let him touch an hors d'oeuvre. God forbid he come to a bachelor party. I mean, Pete Hegseth is just, he wants to be loved so bad by the American bros. You know what I mean? The true American bros. Pete Hegseth wants to be there. He wants to be loved by the patriots. He wants to be loved by the manliest men in America. But if you could see through the bullshit persona that he puts on, you would know that he is an empty vessel. He is he does what he thinks is best to keep his job. There is no redeeming quality about Pete Hegseth. I promise you. But in terms of the Iran war, there's been this back and forth of how long we're going to be there, a few weeks, couple months. The American people are feeling like this is another never-ending war. I mean, when it comes to regime change, there is no hill of optimism you could stand on and overlook the tumultuous situation and be like, "Oh, look, we've made progress. Look ahead. We're almost there." No, there is no rock you could stand on that makes you say, "Oh, look how far we've come." It's just not the situation with wars in the Middle East, unfortunately. And Trump weighs deploying up to 10,000 more troops to the Middle East during war with Iran. The Pentagon is considering sending 10,000 additional troops to the Middle East as Operation Epic Fury continues against Iran. A senior U.S. defense official told the Wall Street Journal this would be in addition to the 1,500 troops being mobilized from the 82nd Airborne Division. Now, there was never supposed to be boots on the ground here. This was supposed to be 4 to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks at most, of what I've heard. It's been 4 weeks at least. I think tomorrow it'll be a month. And there's already been 1,500 boots sent to the Middle East, to Iran. Trump and the Pentagon are considering sending 10,000 troops. Now, 10,000 troops may not sound like a lot to someone who's considering populations, invasions, countries versus another country. But 10,000 is a substantial amount of American troops being placed on the ground. When you have 10,000 individuals who have sworn to serve our country as a military person, that is an incredible amount of people. Just their life being placed on the line with no end game. There's, like I said, there's no communication from our administration. There's no clear line of communication being sent from the top down in terms from our presidency to the American public on how long we're going to be there, what our intention is, when is it good enough? You know, this is Operation Greater Israel. This is not Operation Free the Strait of Hormuz. This is not Operation Regime Change. This is not Operation Anti-Nuclear Weapons for Iran. This is not any of those. This is Operation Greater Israel. And until Israel pulls the plug, which will be never until Iran is completely dismantled, completely discombobulated in terms of a national identity amongst the Iranian people, there is no stopping this war until Israel completely controls the Middle East. And this 100% circles back into the Greater Israel plan. This is something that has been in talks. It's been a conspiracy theory maybe over the past 4 or 5 years, but you're seeing it now. Netanyahu wants to expand the nation state of Israel, wrongfully so, into expanding into these other countries in the Middle East because this land belongs to the people of Israel, simply put. And why wouldn't Netanyahu want to control the Strait of Hormuz and completely dismantle any type of government structure in Iran? I mean, if Netanyahu can have control of the Strait of Hormuz, that would deem Israel not only the superpower in the Middle East, but a superpower amongst other super powerful countries in the entire world, whether it be China, Russia, the United Kingdom, the United States. And that's why I think the U.S. is so involved. Aside from blackmail and things like that, the U.S. wants a piece of this. This is such a lucrative endeavor for our United States military to be involved in, because if we were to secure a win essentially for Israel, our economy would be through the roof. I mean, we'd have control over foreign land, allegedly, side by side with the nation state of Israel. So I guess Israel will be the one to determine what cut the United States government gets out of that strait being controlled by them. But I think this is strictly something that the United States military is pushing to seize control of in order to hand it over entirely to Israel. And this is something that's become more and more obvious over the past few months, even before we took any Operation Epic Fury. I mean, but all of your Trump supporters, all of your boomers are online, are going to continue to be like, Trump's the greatest thing ever. I thought so. I thought the fuck so. I thought Trump was great. I knew he had his flaws. I even knew it'd be possible that he was involved in the Epstein files, but at the same time, I was like, motherfucker, they're all involved in the Epstein files. Let's take a gamble, you know? When you're treating the ballots like Vegas, you are definitely on your last bill. You definitely have your house up, and you got to win big. And that's where we were with voting for Trump. Most patriots, most libertarians, they knew that Trump was pretty much your last option. I mean, there was nowhere else to go. What are you going to do when your back's against the wall? You're going to try your best. That's it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, so be it. You got to figure out a way out, and that's where we're at right now. Still hope for Donald Trump to make the best decisions that he possibly can for the American people every single day. I did that for Biden. I'm going to be critical of the president no matter what. It doesn't matter. The presidency is a tough position to hold. You're never going to satisfy everybody. That's just not what it's meant for. But at the same time, there should be an everlasting quality throughout each and every president in the past and every president to come. It should be that you are placing America first, and that's it. It's that simple. And when the true libertarians and the true patriots of our country even get a whiff of betrayal, they get a sense that they are not being placed first, there will be an uprising in this country. And this uprising is occurring now. It's only a matter of time before the American people take this country back into their own hands, and we start organizing in communities amongst ourselves in order to put ourselves in a position of power to take back our country. So don't put so much faith in your government. Put your faith in Jesus Christ. And the Iran war continues to get more and more interesting every day. I mean, it's like March Madness at this point. There's always a new update. It's almost like the middle of the NFL football season. There's constantly exciting news that you couldn't imagine happened coming out. So Russia, this is where we start dabbling into World War III concepts. This is where we start really exploring what's possible with this war in the Middle East. Russia is reportedly sending upgraded drones to Iran amid war. Russia is sending upgraded drones to Iran, including advanced versions of designs originally supplied by Tehran during the war in Ukraine. U.S. and European officials told the Associated Press. The drones include improvements developed by Russia on the battlefield, such as enhanced navigation systems and anti jamming capabilities, according to the report. Officials said it is unclear how many drones are being transferred or whether the shipment is part of a broader series, but intelligence suggests discussions between Moscow and Tehran have intensified in recent weeks. They've intensified. The war is intensified. It is ironic that drones sent from Tehran to Ukraine are now being sent from Russia to Tehran. But when there's big money involved, like big oil money, 20% of the global economy, the Strait of Hormuz is of the biggest concern for Russia and China. Now, Russia getting involved is no surprise. Once Russia starts sending boots on the ground to Iran, then we have a world war. Once whether it's American warships or American drones or American pilots are being shot out of the sky by whether it be Russia or China, obviously we have a World War III at hand. Officially. But Russia's always been involved in these skirmishes, if you will, when it comes to America sticking their nose around the country. So there is no surprise here. This is complete further evidence that this is a never-ending war in the Middle East. The only thing different here is we did not need a 9/11. We didn't need as much intense propaganda. This isn't something that takes too much convincing of the American people, because this administration is going to do what they want to do. There is no campaign media-wise that you have to run in order to make people feel patriotic and support the war. You're going to support this no matter what. It's going to get so bad that you have no choice to support this, because it's going to come down to your family. It's going to come down to your own life. And that's why I say the American people have to come together as communities across the nation in order to oust any anti-American, anything that's against America first, anything that is against the true history of our nation, the true future of our nation in terms of nuclear families, in terms of education, in terms of public health, public programs. These things are not being put first currently, and they haven't been for years, 20 plus years, 30 years. So it's time for American people to wake up and know when to call a spade a spade. There is no situation that we've been dealing with in the past year or two that makes you feel like, oh, I think our president is really putting the American public first. You know, there is no, whether it be tariffs, gas prices, Venezuela. It's just there's nowhere that you could see it at least back in your pocket. There's nowhere that you could see it makes your family happier. There's nowhere, as a man, there's nowhere that you can reflect on in the past year that makes you feel like, I feel more confident as a father or a husband leading my family. There's nothing coming from your United States government that makes you more capable as a man in supporting and providing for your family. So the one thing that you do have is Jesus Christ, and I promise you that. So keep your faith there. Keep your faith in the Lord and continue to lead your family. I promise you everything will be okay. And again, like I've said before, doesn't matter what involvements Trump has. I will always wish the best for him. I will always pray for Donald Trump. I will always pray for our president, whoever it may be. I will always pray for the prosperity of our nation. Politics aside, it doesn't matter. I genuinely want only the best for the American people from the bottom of my heart. And when Trump does good things, I'm ecstatic. I love several things that Trump's doing. I don't love. I'm not in love entirely with how he's going about doing these things, but a win is a win. You got to take them where you can get them, and you move on, and you try to get another win. This right here is technically a win. Trump rolls out plan to back farmers amid rising costs, pledging golden age. President Donald Trump announced a series of actions Friday aimed at assisting farmers and food suppliers to help cut costs amid rising energy prices, promising a new golden age for the agricultural industry. Trump shared guidance on farm equipment regulations in an effort to cut costs and increase government loan guarantees for agricultural products, including tractors, amongst other reforms. The Biden administration crippled the farming industry, Trump said, with harsh restrictions and a lack of trade deals. I think a lot of these restrictions from the Biden administration, I think a lot of those past restrictions from the Biden administration had to do with a political agenda in terms of EPA and environmental reform, and trying to make farming a greener place. And that would be a scientific discussion in terms of emissions and certain practices that scientists deem harmful to our world, our ozone layer, or our environment. But at the end of the day, farming and agriculture is what makes America strong. It's what makes us American. And if we can get back to providing for ourselves and being able to export our agricultural products, which is something that we haven't been able to do, at least to the UK for quite some time now because of the preservatives or pesticides. It's just, we haven't been able to be a huge exporter of agricultural goods. It's because the quality of our stuff is just shit. So I wish they would tackle that issue, but to help them, Trump said his administration recently used tariff money to give farmers $12 billion in relief. In addition, the EPA will alter guidelines for a system designed to limit diesel emissions that will save farmers billions of dollars, Trump said. He also announced new guidelines to limit diesel exhaust fluid rules, which mandate that modern diesel engines use selective catalytic reduction technology to reduce nitrogen oxide emissions. See, that's... let the farmers farm. The whole diesel exhaust fluid rules, you already have to have the DEF. Having restrictions on diesel exhaust is just absolutely ridiculous. Let our agricultural production produce and bring prosperity to our nation. There is no universe that I want to live in where we're making the lives of our farmers and agricultural workers more difficult, more strenuous, more limited, more expensive. They're already not the most lucrative industry in the nation. They're doing God's work in terms of trying to feed the public. When we're subsidizing these farmers to produce shit crop and GMO'd crop like these terrible soybeans, this GMO corn that's all laden with glyphosate, it's just bullshit. Speaking of glyphosate, that's one thing that I obviously don't support that Trump got approved back in February. He wanted to ramp up the production of glyphosate, which is pretty much globally known as a carcinogen, at least on a level that is of concern. This isn't something that we should be increasing production of. It's almost like we take a step forward, we take two steps back with the Donald Trump administration. Why do you support our farmers? And why are you ramping up the production of glyphosate? Where's RFK Jr. in this situation? Is he not speaking up in these meetings? Is he getting talked over? Is he not even included? I know he wouldn't support a glyphosate ramp up in production. That's not something that we need on our crops. A weed killer coating our produce, coating our crops that we intend to sell and distribute to the American public and maybe intend on distributing around the world. That's not something that we need on our crops. I'm pretty sure I speak for everybody when I say that glyphosate should not be ramped up in production. But unfortunately, that happened. So, in other news, Tiger Woods arrested and charged with DUI following Florida car crash. Some type of medication or drug. Tiger Woods was arrested for driving under the influence after appearing to cause a crash in Florida that resulted in his vehicle rolling over, Martin County Sheriff John Budenseek said Friday. Now, we've had a complete timeline shift now. Pretty sure he got a DUI in 2021. He had that. No, that was 2017 he got the DUI. He got in a crash in 2021. 2017, got a DUI. He got fucked up in the crash in 2021. But this one seems to be a drug-related problem. So he blew triple zeros on the breathalyzer, denied a urine test. But this just goes to show you that regardless of how successful you are in this country when it comes to playing in a sport, whether it comes to teaching children, whether it comes to running for office, no matter what craft, being a doctor at the highest level, general surgeon, it just doesn't matter. Tiger Woods is rich as fuck, and he still drives around on Xanax and Dilaudid. Like, rolls his Porsche Cayenne in a suburb. It doesn't matter. Really take care of yourself, people. Really. Tiger Woods is out here popping pills, going on a cruise, doing 60s and 30s, flipping an SUV, crawling out the top. You should check out the picture. It literally looks like a skit. He's fucking jacked. He's fucking jacked in a blue polo standing there on the cell phone like, what the fuck's going on? I need my lawyer now. Doesn't matter what you do, you really need to take care of yourself spiritually. You need to listen to that inner voice in your head. Not all of them, but the good one. The good one. Don't do drugs and drive. Don't drink and drive, people, okay? Don't do it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys next week. I hope you have a good one.